Okay, you guys, we are 19 days out from this election. So you know what that means? It's time for the hard stuff. I've got my wine tumbler here. It says Vino the Vote. Check them out if you want one. But really, tonight, there's not enough bottles of wine in the world. We have got to get to work. So it is time. Tonight we are tequila and texting. You see, I've got my limes, my tequila, everything I need. And this is not wine in here. It's the hard stuff tonight. And we have a very special guest to help us do it. But before we get going, I want everybody to be sure that you have downloaded the app that we use here at Red, White, and Blue, which mobilizes suburban women and just women all across the country to engage in this election and use your voice to make a difference. We use Outvote, and this we've got it here right here on the screen. If you haven't downloaded it yet, you go to the App Store, look up Outvote, download it, and use this code. You spell uncork into your phone, 862675. And what we do from this app is we text people we know, because it is the most effective form of voter contact that there is. And we'll get into some more details about that later. But we also recognize that that takes a little gumption, a little bit of courage. It's not just sending off texts to strangers that they then ignore. These texts make a difference because your friends know you. The people you know you, and it matters. It's hugely effective, no matter what else you're doing in this election. If you haven't started doing this with us yet, I hope that you'll come and join the party because we have tequila along with the texting, okay? Okay. Also tonight, there are going to be prizes. I need to show off Mamala for Kamala. Mamala for Kamala. My favorite of our t-shirts. This too could be yours. If you send at least 10 messages to friends tonight through the app, and we can see it all on our dashboard, you will be entered to win one of our fabulous prizes. Maybe it's a wine tumbler. Maybe it's this t-shirt. Okay. Can we just please get to the part that everybody's looking forward to, especially me? I am really excited. While you're downloading Outvote, I get to bring on my drinking and texting partner for the evening, actress and activist, Alyssa Milano. Are you there?
I am here drinking and ready for texting. Cheers.
Okay, what are you drinking, Alyssa? Because it looks mighty fine.
I'm drinking tequila and squirt, which is my favorite drink. I'm real highbrow.
I don't know if I was aware they were still selling squirt.
It's real hard to find, but worth it.
I mean, do you have like a special supplier situation? Because that does seem special.
Bevmo. Have you ever been to a Bevmo? It's like a Costco size, like liquor store / beverage store. So
yeah,
they sell squirt.
You are already imparting so much wisdom upon us.
That's what I do.
It's like, where do you even go from there? But I'm going to try. But first, I just want to check in with how you are everywhere in this election, using your voice, which is like the thing we talk about here at Red, Wine, and Blue, empowering women to use their voices. And you do that. And it's a lot. It takes a lot. You're also raising kids.
Yes.
You know, working on this campaign like 24/7. Like how you doing? How's your stress level? How are you managing that?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm stressed.
Yes.
This is a stressful time. It would be stressful without the election coming up in 19 days. And it would be stressful without the pandemic.
Yes.
And it's just it's
a lot.
One thing. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I have anxiety disorder. So, but I've been feeling pretty good. Like I haven't had many panic attacks since quarantine. And I keep talking about how like I've been preparing for this, basically my entire anxiety disorder, because this is the place that I sort of live in where everyone else is just catching up. And I'm like, see, I told you everything was horrible. So, I feel really prepared for this moment in time.
All right.
But it is tough. I mean, it is hard. Yeah. And it's hard like with the kids because you don't know.
Yes.
You don't know if you're screwing them up more because of how much you tell them, but you don't want to tell them not enough that their imagination goes wild. So it's, and also the decision of like, do I homeschool? Do I send them to school? What's going to be better for them?
It's just too much real talk all the time, with our spouses, partners, friends, kids, working through all of this. It was, and like you said, emotions were already raw. This was already an intense time. And then we've loaded and loaded and loaded on top of it, which is why come November, we've just got to crush it so we can all go to bed. Just for a minute.
Well, starting now. I mean, it's no longer really election day, right? I mean, we're in the middle of election season, which is...
In Ohio, we've been voting for a while now. We have a 30-day early vote window. And actually,
which is so awesome.
Alyssa, you're so good. I mean, so that's what tonight is all about in terms of tapping into our voices and our networks to let all the people we know, give them everything that they need to make their vote plan, to have access to the information they need to do. Women want to do our research. We want to go into filling out that ballot prepared. And sometimes it can be really hard to track all that down. And one of the text actions we have tonight is a tool that you just go, you put in your address, and it's all there for you. Every single candidate on your ballot.
That's so awesome. So with this app, though, like, I can't text bank because I'm not in Ohio, right?
No, actually you can. So we have actions that are loaded in. There's one that is Ohio specific that has to do with this video I hope you enjoy. We're about to premiere. And that's one thing we want you to text out. The video, we're going to show it up on the screen in a minute. The video is Ohio specific because every state has their own voting rules, right? And so this video is about the process in Ohio in a fun way. And we are actually creating a national version of it that will be in the app in the next few days. So we wanted everyone to get to see it because it's going to be very similar. And then, but right now too, we use the platform Ballot Ready, which is awesome. It helps. They've done all the research on every local race in the whole country. So that's what powers our tool that we have then tailored just for you, just for our women. And if you go to vinoyourvote.com, it doesn't matter where you are. You can put in your information and you can see everything on your ballot right now, whether you are Alyssa Milano or Katie Paris or sitting in any state in this country.
That's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't want to vino their vote? Like, just vino your vote.
I mean, it makes sense to me. Yeah.
I mean, tequila in your vote is good too, but this was catchier. So
tequila-ing.
It's just awkward, just drink your tequila. Don't like gerund it.
Is it like an apostrophe, or is like the ing an apostrophe, or is it just straight across?
Hard questions. Really hard questions. I know. Okay, so why don't we just show this video we're pretty excited about that we want everyone to share. So this, again, there are two top actions in the app right now. One, and it says Ohio. If you're in Ohio, then you've got this. You are going to want to text this out to all your friends, not only to make them laugh, but also so they know, like, what the fuck is going on with this election, like what to do, like absentee ballot, can I go in person, all this stuff. So, and then we also have another action though. If you are not in Ohio, not only are we very soon going to have in the app a version of this video that hooks all your friends up and keeps them entertained about the 411 on early voting that you can use anywhere. But there is also right now, we have a text action loaded up already for you to go to share with all your friends, this vinoyourvote.com website where anybody can go in anywhere, put in your info. And you know what? Like, we built this for women who are trying to get shit done. The tool sounds like us. Hopefully sounds like you. And it's something that you actually want to share with your friends, because I think sometimes that's our problem in politics. We're asking people to do things that are just like, well, that doesn't feel like me. So hopefully this feels like you.
It's a good point.
All right. So Beverly, can you fire up that video? Would now be a good time?
Everything's been so stressful. I live for these Zoom cocktails.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, what day is it?
Zoom cocktail day.
No, I mean, when's election day?
November 3rd.
That's soon. I barely remember what day it is these days.
I requested an absentee ballot, so I'm voting by mail.
Good for you.
Good for you.
Yeah, you don't even have to remember what day it is. You can mail it whenever. Take your time.
No. As soon as you get it, you gotta fill it out and then mail it in or drop it off at the Board of Elections.
Drop it like it's hot.
Can I still vote early in person, even if I requested an absentee ballot?
Sure, if you haven't sent it in, you can vote early in person at the Board of Elections.
Are you Board of Elections?
And the best part is when you vote early, your vote gets counted first.
Anytime someone says vote, take a drink.
Vote!
Whoa.
Donna?
I'm good.
I love it.
I mean, everyone needs a drunk Donna in their life. I mean, we all already have a drunk Donna in our life. Maybe each of us can admit that sometimes we are the drunk
I think
Donna.
I might. I was just gonna say, I think I might be the drunk Donna.
Oh, this is so cool.
No,
we have drunk Donna here with us tonight.
I can play her though, because I'm an actress.
Yes, you can.
If I put text in the chat, will our audience see it?
Oh, it will if you're on Facebook, not the chat within where you and I are chatting, but if you're on if you have open on your laptop or something else, other device in front of you.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got
They'll
it.
see it on Facebook.
Why is that doing that? Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, great. I can hear you. Okay, so here's the thing about when you are the idea of texting your friends is something that at first people can say, oh yeah, okay, I could do that. And then you get there with your phone, you've got the app and you're like, oh, I like this and it's good. But it's still maybe a little bit about politics or the election and voting. And women just have a little bit of reluctance sometimes to take that step.
Do you think that's just women, or do you think it's people in general?
I mean,
I
Alyssa,
feel like
I basically only talk to women. So
right. I think people are reluctant to talk about politics right now anyway, because there's such polarizing times, right?
Well,
I mean,
right. And that's like, yeah, that's like part of Trump's strategy, right? It's just to keep us all,
quiet,
fatigued and quiet and polarized. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So we can't let that happen. But anyway, I mean, this is the most effective thing we can do. So one of the reasons why we wanted to ask you on and to be here with us tonight is you're just someone who you've got that courage, and I think that you are a woman who steps up and again and uses your voice and speaks truth to power. And I do think that how did you get to a point where you were like, I'm going to do this, and being an activist, being someone who engages in the political world?
I was actually 15 when I became an activist, way well before social media. A little boy named Ryan White, who is HIV positive, asked if I would kiss him on the Donahue show to prove that you couldn't get HIV/AIDS from casual contact. And this was while I was doing Who's the Boss, and it was sort of the height of the show was the /1 show in the nation. And so I said yes. And so I went on TV and I kissed him to prove that you couldn't get HIV/AIDS from casual contact. And it was such a profound moment for me, because I finally realized why I was given the gift of an audience and the gift of a platform, although we didn't call it platform then. Right. But it just, like, all of a sudden my life kind of made more sense. And so he gave me that gift, and I think about him obviously every time I tell the story. But I think for me, I can't separate it anymore. Like, and I think social media is the reason for that. It's very hard to hide who you are through social media, because people have there's no one controlling an image, right? You are sort of what you put out there. Yeah. And so for me, I'm more interested in the psychology of how celebrities don't use their voice to affect change. Like, I'll look at celebrities' Twitter feeds now and not see anything about the pandemic or the economic crisis that we're going through, or the social crisis that we're going through, and I get like icked out by it, where I'm like, well, this is a waste. Like, this is a waste
because
of
they
10
don't want to be
million
polarizing,
followers.
right? It's that same dynamic.
I think
though,
they
right?
don't want to alienate half their audience, which I get, but I would hope that we're humans before we are performers and actors. And if there's ever a time to use your voice and jeopardize whatever successes you think you have for whatever reason, it's right now.
Right.
It is right now, when there's kids in cages, when there's a pandemic with no end in sight, when there's tens of millions of people that have no jobs. It's when small businesses have closed down. So I'm like, I get a lot of shit for being vocal, but I don't think there's any other way to be, especially right now. But I also think, just because I don't know my success without being an activist.
So it's
like
so hearing that story, and maybe I'd heard it a long time ago, but thank you for sharing that story from back when you were 15 years old, because that makes so much sense. I think that so often we think, okay, well, they're a celebrity, they have this career, and then they're going to wedge in a little bit of, you know, speaking out on whatever issue they
or the photo op, or, you know, starting a foundation where, you know, for
but instead what you found your voice by realizing the platform that you had through Who's the Boss, and all of a sudden it had purpose. So it wasn't this like other purpose. It was like, oh, maybe this is my true purpose.
Maybe it's the same purpose. Maybe those things aren't separated. Right. That's exactly right.
I think we all need to think about what our version of that story may be. You know, like, I used to live in Washington, D.C., working in national politics. And then I ended up moving to Ohio because it's where my husband grew up and where we thought it would be great to raise a family. And it is. But I never would have ended up on this path. I mean, I'm a mom in the suburbs, you know, in the middle of the country. And I feel for the first time this intense alignment between what I've always done professionally in terms of working in politics and organizing people and figuring out how to get to the outcome that aligns with my values. And then, you know, and then I'm doing my things, you know, with my kids, or, you know, in the community or whatever. But now it's like, well, maybe I was, you know, put here right now, and this is my platform that's unique. And then I can apply sort of everything I've learned and where I've been. Like, that's, I don't know, like, as women, I think we so are seeking finding that flow, right? And like that alignment and figuring out, I mean, which is like sort of impossible. We just have to live in all these tensions. But just, I don't know, that idea, it's helpful to me. And I wonder if it is to other women to think about, like, let's stop trying to divide ourselves into pieces. We are one person, and like, we're just going to be in a constant process of kind of discovering that.
Yeah. And also, like, how do we use the opportunity that's given to us and make the best of our situations, right? Yeah. And so, you know, you are reaching people that I'm not reaching with your platform. And that's a beautiful thing. And I feel like everyone has a platform. It doesn't matter if it's 6 people around the dinner table, or, you know, your 250 friends on Facebook, or your Twitter feed, whatever it is. We all have a platform. It's how we use it. And I think it was Richard Branson had this amazing, I heard him speak, and he was talking about, like, if you take care of your circles, and he used his hands like this, if you take care of your circle, and everyone sort of does good within their circle, then hopefully all the circles will eventually overlap.
Yes.
And I love that idea. That
I do too. Yeah. And the significance of each of those circles, you know, like, let's all understand, like, how much influence you do have in that circle. And
that's
we
probably
have to
why
rely on each other.
texting people is so much more effective and impactful and gets people to the polls more than text banking or phone banking, right? It's like you taking care of your circle. So,
Yes.
it makes sense. It's just, the stuff that doesn't make sense to me is there's a lot of pain in this country right now and a lot of hardship. And the lack of leadership that we have on a federal level is there's like trickle down. And that's why it is so important that we pay attention to not only the election on a national level, but also on a local and state level.
100%.
Because when this breaks down, the leadership on the national level, when that starts to break down, you really realize how much the leadership on a state level is, and then a local level, and then like within your district. Because if it wasn't for our governors right now helping us through this pandemic, or not helping us through this pandemic, I don't know where. I certainly don't know where the state of California would be. I mean,
well, that's no question, state by state. And that's one of the other things too, is that, we in our circles, and I love what you said about taking care of our circles. It's a lot of information to take in. All your ballot is full of all of these offices, some of which you may have never even heard of, but it does all influence our lives, and just recognizing that, and you being someone who can help out your friends and be a resource to them, to help them figure that out, is huge. And it makes just an enormous difference in all of our communities.
Well, and also I think it's important to, because they purposely word things on a ballot, like the measures and the propositions, in a way that's tricky.
It can be.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I often have to, like, Proposition 25 on the California ballot is a perfect example of that, where you read it upon first glance, and it's basically getting rid of cash bail, which sounds great. That's criminal justice reform. But when you dig deeper, it then allows people from an algorithm to decide who stays in prison during their trial period and who goes home. And I think it's so important that when our propositions and our ballot measures impact something that we cannot relate to, that we go to the source closest to the pain. And that's why organizations are so important. That's why local grassroots organizations are so important. Yeah. Trusted sources, so vital, because often a lot of it is purposely made so you can understand it.
Yeah. And, the grassroots action that's taken place since 2016 is incredible. And that's what inspired me to start Red Wine and Blues. So, I would love to hear your perspective on that. Like, what have you observed about women getting involved since 2016? And how do you expect for women to impact what happens very soon?
Well, women are always a very important part of the equation for every election. But I think what has happened has been truly a perfect storm if you think about the order in which things took place, right? We got the grab 'em video, the grab 'em by the P video from Extra, and then he was elected, and I think women were horrified. They were like, oh my God, how could this horrible predator be elected to be the leader of the free world? And then after that was the Women's March, because we were all horrified. And then after that was Me Too going viral, because the other aspects before, or even before Me Too was Harvey Weinstein and the Silence Breakers. Yeah. And then Me Too. And so I think it has been a consistent fear that we've all had of having our rights slowly stripped away. And I got to tell you, as an activist, where you're normally fighting to advance a cause, like in the last 4 years, all I've been fighting for is to make sure they haven't stripped away the things that the generations before me had already, the fights we had already won.
Right.
So it's really, it's been, I think, scary for women, and especially, I think people that have daughters too, this idea that they would grow up in a world with less rights than their moms. That's probably,
no question.
I know when I look at Bella, I'm just terrified.
Yeah. And I think, the amazing thing is that it has led to so many more women getting involved, becoming such a force, forming a sisterhood, truly. I hear it all the time. I didn't even know her before, and now we do everything together. It's
right.
I'm
convinced that that's the way the system was set up, because they didn't want us. They wanted and when I say they, it can be any hierarchy or in this case it would be a patriarchy, but we don't. I think that we were meant to stay away from each other because or in competition with one another, like, if you're in a business, like, only one woman can have the corner office, it's only room for one.
Yes.
So and I think that because they didn't want us to be able to talk about the dysfunction in the workplace or to feel like we're not believed, they kept it like that, right? So I think what this whole last 4 years has shown us, and I hope to God we come out better for it, is that we're not. We truly are a sisterhood, and we are standing shoulder to shoulder and fighting for the same things. And let me tell you, when women fight,
hey,
shit gets done.
Thank you.
Shit gets done, because we lead from a place of love. We don't lead from a place of power or wanting money. We lead from love. Like, how can I make this better? And so I think because of that, a lot of this has fallen on our shoulders, and a lot through the pandemic too.
Oh, no question. It's intensified.
I have felt, I don't know if you have felt like this, but I have felt like I kept thinking to myself, what does this feel like right now? What is it like? I felt this way before, and it was after I had my kids. Like that isolation and keeping them inside for 6 weeks and only you and your husband, and like trying to juggle everything, and really the only person that can take care of all of that, right, feeding, putting the babies is the mama. And that's the beauty of it. And I'm feeling like so much responsibility is on us right now as well, as far as like having to be teachers and it's it's a lot.
It is exactly where we started. It's a lot, but I want to end, if I can keep you for just a couple more minutes, I would love to end with I like to do these sort of rapid fire question round, just to like get to know you a little bit better before we go. So first one is a piece of advice you'd give your teenage self.
You're enough.
Yes.
You're enough.
All right. Your favorite guilty pleasure?
I really love potato chips.
Yeah. Fair.
And like the cheaper the potato chip, the better. Like, I'm a Lay's girl.
Yeah.
I don't really need like
value.
I don't need like the fancy sea salt or whatever. I want like Squirt. I want Squirt and Lay's potato chips.
Perfect. The person you'd most want to get a glass of wine with, dead or alive?
Jesus.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. And one thing you're grateful for right now?
My husband.
Good.
Like, I'm so glad.
Me too tonight. I'm here because he's up there.
Yeah, but I'm just so glad it's him. You know what I mean? Like, that I picked him, because you sort of hope that you'd be okay in this kind of situation.
Yeah.
You know, and I think everyone goes into it with the best intentions, but you don't really know until, you know, there's a madman in the White House and a pandemic.
Yeah. It's when we really
So,
know. Well,
yeah,
and
it's
hey,
true.
that's what gives you the fuel, right? To lead with love.
Lead with love. Yes.
Yeah. I like that message from you, Alyssa. And I just want to thank you for coming and inspiring us to use our voices, to do
Of
the brave
course.
work of tapping our networks, to remember that we bring our whole selves to the table. Let's not chop ourselves up and put ourselves in silos. Let's bring our whole selves. And with that, let's take care of our circles. I love what you said about that.
Take care of
And
your
know,
circles. We all have a platform.
yes, and know that when you do this simple thing, it's meaningful, of reaching out to your network. I mean, you guys, texting your friends is like 10 times more effective than like annoying political TV ads. This
Yeah,
is
and you get to like whatever baggage you carried along in those friendships. Like I feel like everyone's vote counts the same.
yeah.
So, right? Like so it's kind of like the great equalizer of,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that friend in high school that you felt less than, right?
Yeah,
It's like, no,
totally.
actually our votes mean exactly the same.
No matter who went to
Who you are.
with him. Right.
Yeah. It's like my vote means just as much as Eric Trump.
Oh, really? Only as much as his? I guess that is democracy.
We're all equal.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to pick like my least favorite human.
Well, you picked a pretty good one. All right. So how's your tequila? Is the squirt good? Have you had a nice drink?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I mean, it's pretty delicious. I'm not
Do
gonna
you like
lie.
do you like my barrette?
So much. I so very much enjoy your barrette. Thank you for wearing it today.
I had to wrestle my 6-year-old because she wanted to wear it today, and I was like, no.
Oh,
But yeah.
Well done.
I
Well
think it's
done
good.
on you.
Thank you.
Well done on you. All right, everybody. Find your vote bling that speaks to you just as much as Alyssa's barrette is speaking to me right now. And use those voices, tap those networks, and keep drinking tequila, because sometimes this stuff is hard. So kick out the hard stuff. Thanks, Alyssa.
Thank you so much.
Get
God
going,
bless you
everybody.
all.